Well, hello, KOZ family. This is your KOZ Raw for this week. I'm out with Hinge on our morning outing, and I'm TJ Graney, KOZ. But I was thinking, I was praying and asking Jesus, what is it that we want to talk about on the Raw this week? And he was telling me things you don't say to boys. And I thought, what does that mean? What is it? And what I started to recognize, what I started to realize was the things that you can say to the younger guys that you don't say to the older guys. Now, up front, we remember that we're not a task-based ministry, we're a relationship-based ministry. So KOZ thrives on relationships, and you are earning the authority to speak into the boys' lives by being there. So relationships with your boys, and then understanding your boys. We talked recently about we have found that teaching to the older boys is a beautiful way to keep the older boys engaged, but the younger boys will stay. If you teach to the younger boys, the older boys will leave. The younger boys are easier to teach to, but if you operate teaching to the older boys, the younger boys will stay. So creating relationship with boys and what to say and what not to say. So I remember one time we were on an outing somewhere, and one of the KOZ HTLs had a group of older boys with them, and they were off doing something, and it was just him and them, and they were having a great time, but they got into this conversation about girls, and it was a powerful conversation. There was some real conversation happening there. One that you would be proud and glad that the boys got to ask questions and you got to answer them in as biblical and true and appropriately a guy would talk to the boys. And he came back and he was so excited about his conversation with them. And I was high-fiving him, and we were all just, stoked. God was doing what he does, right? Giving you opportunities to speak into the lives of the boys. And, then we got around the younger boys, and he started to talk about the same stuff. He started to try and navigate that same kind of conversation around the young boys. And I said, whoa. That's next level conversation. It's not one to have with these guys. And we talked about it, and right, we recognized that an incredible conversation with one group of boys might not fit the others, older and younger. And you might have that with you may have a conversation with an older boy, but the next older young man, it wouldn't fit. The other thing I would say is, so you need to know the level of conversation, maturity of the conversation, maturity of the young men that you're talking to. And then there's things that you don't tell boys. There's personal stories. See, I love to use my personal stories to communicate with the boys because it makes me real to them. It makes my mistakes or my poor judgment or my good judgment calls or my experiences makes them real to them. But there's certain things you don't want to share. There's things that we have all done that are just not part of the conversation. It may be amongst your HTLs, and there may be a boy who spends a lot of time with you, gets up to the place where he might be worthy of that, but there's some things we don't share. And I would say that to men in general. There's certain things that you don't. Had a guy that that he got fired from a job, and he used that in his conversation, his testimony, and one time it just struck me that, you probably shouldn't use the word fired. They let you go, you left the job. Being fired, maybe not. There's also probably some things that we did as a boy that we're not proud of, things that there's some shame behind. Navigating those without understanding them therapeutically or navigating them with men before you would share that with some young guys is probably not good. So I guess what we don't tell the boys are things they don't need to hear. Understand your audience, read the room, and then just, be real with the boys and love on them, and you'll win these boys over. They'll experience things that they don't get anywhere else. There's so many of them that don't have real conversations with adult men in their lives, if they have them. Even young men who have dads at home. A lot of times dads don't understand how to communicate. I'm not saying I know how to communicate to my boys all the time. It's because I was never had the example. So it's not about perfection. It's about trying to listen to the Holy Spirit and let him speak through you, through us, and caring for these guys and earning the ability, earning the authority to speak into their lives by showing up. So you don't have to be a biblical scholar or a therapist. You'll be prompted by what to say, and you'll be prompted with what not to say. So, hey, we got a lot going on in KOZ, a lot of new stuff coming up. If you like this video, please click like, subscribe to the channel, help us build the channel up a little bit. If you haven't been to the website recently, go over there and poke around. If you haven't been to the store recently, now's a great time to start getting some gear for your boys. We're always trying to add new stuff. Got the KOZ BB guns in there now, and those are, and we got the limited edition buck knives in there now. Lot of good stuff. If you haven't made an HTL call, one of the Zoom calls, man, it is so worth the investment of your time to do an HTL Zoom. I would encourage it. And even if you gather a group of you guys together and watch it on a TV, it's a great investment in your group. You'll hear a lot of things, a lot of ways to grow your group, keep your group strong, how to recruit boys, how to recruit other leaders. It's good stuff. All right, I'm gonna finish my walk, and then I gotta build a mud kitchen for my granddaughter, a mud kitchen. That's what I get for talking out loud. All right, love you guys. Regulators, mount up.